How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka TheNYCGeek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord. Whether you are in ancient Kondak or present day Kondak, it doesn't matter. I'm still your Elden Lord, aka the one who will sit the throne today, aka the guy who wants to discuss the recently released Black Adam movie, like briefly, which I saw this weekend, but more importantly, the impact that it may have on the other comic book cinematic universe out there, the one that may have a chance still, the DC Extended Universe, aka the DCEU. Now, before I go into what Black Adam may mean for the DCEU, which it's not like it's going to be the sole catalyst, but I think it's going to be a certain pushing point. But before I talk about that, I guess I should talk a little bit about Black Adam, the film. I didn't put up a review about it for, so I'll touch on it here briefly. I will do my absolute best to avoid spoilers. In fact, there will be very little spoilers to begin with, honestly. But to put it mildly, the movie was a mess. It was mindlessly fun at times. There were some cool action spots here and there. I really dug the look of some of the costumes, especially Black Adam's and Hawkman's. I really like their costumes, but it was a disjointed mess. The story was, ooh, man, it was bad. The acting was awful, especially the skateboarding kid, who you're just gonna hate every time that kid shows up on screen. The villain was Steppenwolf levels of bad. There were characters there that didn't need to be there, like Atom Smasher and Cyclone. Too much fucking slow-mo, and I mean too much slow-mo. Like, it felt like the movie was half slow-mo. But like, if I had to give it a score, honestly, it's like a 4 or 5 at best, because there are some cool moments, but even with that score, a 4 being below average or 5 being average, right? Here's the thing. You know what was happening during this movie? People were laughing, people were cheering, and at the end, people actually clapped. Like, you would have thought they had seen this masterpiece, okay? And I think that really speaks to the audience was just having fun. They were having fun with this movie. And because what it is they want to go to these movies, they want to see these shows, they want to have a good time, even if the story is ridiculously awful, and they don't want to be preached at, okay? They don't want to be told that they're a bad person because they're a toxic male or some other fucking woke agenda. And that is the one thing that this movie does right. That is, yes, there were a few times here and there where Adriana, the archaeologist, she, the mom, she gets a little preachy and you just want to tell her, go away, please. But those were very few and far between, and they weren't really the focus of the movie at all, okay? And the way that the film ends, this will be the one thing that I will have to spoil a little bit, and I'll give you a full-blown warning. I just got to tell you what the mid-credit scene is. So, let me give you a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the end credit scene shows Black Adam, and he basically gets contacted by Amanda Waller, and it shows Superman arrive, and it's actually Henry Cavill. And we have been told that Henry Cavill has been recast once more within the DCEU, which is a huge plus for this cinematic universe, okay? Henry Cavill is fantastic. He loves that role. He was made to play the role of Superman, okay? Now, here's where I want to discuss the DCEU, because like this movie, the DCEU right now is a disjointed mess, all right? Some of their most recent hits, which I loved the Batman. You can go back and see an earlier video, my review of it. I think it's fantastic. It's my favorite Batman film. But that movie and The Joker, which was another hit, those are standalone films. They aren't a part of the cinematic universe, and their upcoming films don't look that good, to be honest. Like, they don't look too promising. Like, Shazam 2 looks terrible. I will say Shazam 1 I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching that movie. But Shazam 2, wow, that looks awful. Absolutely awful. And that shithead jackoff, Ezra Miller, he's still going to be in Flashpoint. And yet, even with all that, I can still find a glimmer of hope for the DCEU. I still can. Because if, because here's the key thing. If Flashpoint serves as the reboot for the DCEU that we all believe it will be, with Henry Cavill still being kept as Superman, I'd like to see Gal Gadot still being kept as Wonder Woman, unless you're going to cast somebody else, okay? But I still would really like to see her stay with it because I think she did fine with the role. It's just that she was in that shit Wonder Woman 1984 movie. Keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He's done really well with that. And Dwayne Johnson lending his star power to maybe reinvigorate interest in a brighter DCEU that isn't the grim, broody universe like the Snyderverse was, rather. We might get the DCEU that should have been. If you can keep all those actors there, I think obviously they're going to keep Henry Cavill and they're going to definitely keep Dwayne Johnson because he wants to be Black Adam and he seems to really dig DC. I wouldn't put him as the writing. I wouldn't put him at all in terms of any writing roles, but he definitely seems to enjoy the DC universe. Okay. And there's a lot of steps that Warner Brothers does need to take. They do. Step one. This is a big step right here. They need to exercise, in my opinion, the genuinely evil motherfucker that is Ezra Miller. Get his ass out of the DCEU. Out of it. Get out. Okay, look, yes, he's going to be in Flashpoint. That's hopefully, the last time we ever see him. Look, we can't do anything about him being in Flashpoint. We can't. Too late. So that movie's already way too far in. Just have him be there. Kill off his version of the Flash in that movie. Recast someone else in that role. Recast the guy who did the movie, the TV show version of Flash. People like him. And preferably someone who knows how to actually run and isn't a shithead basket case. Because I got to tell you, this is his, I swear to God, go back and see any freaking Flash section where he's running in Justice League or anything. And this is how he runs. I've never in my life have I seen anyone in real life run like that. I don't know what the hell this guy thought that's running. Maybe he's never run a day in his life, but holy shit. Step two, have a plan. Have a plan. The DCEU needs to have its course charted. Stop being in a rush. And that's going to be the next thing coming up, but stop being in a rush. Stop winging it. Stop making standalone films. Part of what made the MCU the juggernaut that it was long ago. And yes, it is a dying husk and a bitter reminder of what it once was. So I have to refer to it in the past tense. But what once helped establish the MCU was giving it a sense of continuity. The events of one movie helped lead to another, or they were cited in another. And the DCU did try to do this, but they bungled it all. They bungled it all up with what's going to be step three is take your damn time. Take your damn time. When Man of Steel came out, the DCU rushed out Batman v Superman, which was a disaster. Okay, that movie tried to do a billion things at once. Okay, it was the clearest sign that the DCEU was going to fall flat on its face before it even got started. They tried to shove in Batman. They tried to shove in Wonder Woman. They shoved in Darkseid. Not Darkseid. Doomsday. They tried to shove in Lex Luthor. They had the death of Superman. All these things in one movie, and there was a second movie. Like, dude, this is the second movie. You're already killing Superman off. They were mashing in a billion things in their films. They did the same thing with Justice League, where they introduced all these new characters, and nothing at the time that it needed to be properly fleshed out or shine. Look at how the MCU did their phase one, okay? Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, which introduced Black Widow, Thor, which introduced Hawkeye, Captain America, and then Marvel's The Avengers. You can do the same route with the DC universe, okay? Look, 5 movies and then 1 crossover film, okay? Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Superman 2, Justice League. Right there. 5-1. You can do the same thing. In Wonder Woman, introduce Shiera as Hawkwoman. In Green Lantern, introduce Martian Manhunter. This way, when you get to the Justice League, you already have your founding members introduced. And you notice I didn't mention Batman in his own movie. That's because Batman doesn't need his own movie in the DCEU. Not yet. Not yet. Use him as the Nick Fury of this world. Use him like the New 52 Batman in the beginning of New 52 that helped bring all the heroes together to form this team. Okay? Have him be the guy in the background that's like, we need to address the greater threat and Brainiac, whatever the bigger threat that they use. You use Brainiac, they could use a billion other things. I wouldn't use Darkseid in your first Justice League movie. Absolutely not. I would use Brainiac, honestly. And step 4, tie it back, and this is a real something dear to me. Tie it back to the greatest success that DC has ever had in terms of TV and movies. The DC Animated Universe. The DC Animated Universe that started back with Batman in 1992 and then with Superman in 1996, those 2 series were like the groundwork. It was phenomenal. It tied in other shows like Batman Beyond and Static Shock, and I think I can't remember the exact name. It was Project Zeta. It was the one with the robot. But it was mainly Batman and Superman, the animated series, that then led into those amazing Justice League show and the Justice League Unlimited, okay? And I cited Green Lantern earlier. I do want Green Lantern, but I don't want Hal Jordan. I don't want Guy Gardner. Go John Stewart. He's the Green Lantern that a lot of people grew up with, especially if you're my age, especially if their only exposure was the animated series. Put in the damn love story between him and Shire. That was great. Give us the symbol of hope that was a Superman from that series. Give us the dry wit humor Batman from that series, because he wasn't just brooding Batman. He had like jokes that he would catch you, and he would even put like a little smirk, and you're like, oh, this motherfucker's got a sense of humor. Like, show that. Put in the romantic interest between Bruce and Diana. My point is, the Justice League animated series was a show about superheroes beating up supervillains and fighting supervillains. That's what people want when they go to comic book movies, okay? They don't want to be preached to. They certainly don't want to be told they're bad people. Learn from the mistakes that the MCU is constantly making nowadays. And if you take one thing from what Dwayne Johnson said, entertain the fans. I'm sorry. Entertain the fans. Don't villainize them. Don't villainize your fan base. Don't make the people whose wallets you depend on the enemy. Don't make them that. Disney has done a fine job of doing that, clearly. It's why She-Hulk was a disaster. It's why Andor is being met with apathy, despite the fact that it's not a terrible show. Learn from this, Warner Brothers. You are in a unique position because you have two perfect blueprints to draw on right now. You have your animated shows to show you right now, how things are done. And you have the MCU fucking it up so you can see how things are not done. So you have a blueprint of what to follow, and then the other blueprint where you're like, oh, let's not do what they're doing. Black Adam was a mess, but it might just be the burst of the second win, especially with a reboot on the horizon that the DCE universe needed. The DC extended universe, with Black Adam, hopefully bringing back DC in the forefront of comic book movies, while it's clear that Marvel is on the decline, and then you reboot it with a Flash movie, you might have the ingredients you need to start working again. There's nothing wrong with a reboot. There's nothing wrong with a reboot. Marvel's in the desperate need of one, but I think that Black Adam might be the second win that the DCEU needs. And let's make it clear, it desperately needs it. Anyway, this has been the NYCGeek. If you enjoyed this content, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. Also, while you're at it, please consider hitting that like, that share button, that freaking bell so you can know when another video goes live. Leave a comment down below. I love to engage and chat with all of you. I do my absolute best to respond. Every single one of you. Tell me what you think. Did you see Black Adam? Tell me what you thought of the movie. Tell me what you think about the DCEU going forward. Do you think that there's a chance? Am I being too optimistic? I know sometimes a lot of people say I'm a pessimist. I am. But I want these projects to succeed. Like, who wants to fucking go and see bad? I don't want to see bad stuff. I want to see good things. Please. I don't want like Rings of Power and She-Hulk and all these things. I want them to be good. So I'm trying to I can't give Disney any more chances. They ruined all their chances. So I got to go with Warner Brothers, and hopefully they can fix this up. So let me know what you guys think. Tell me, am I being too like trying to find the silver lining somewhere, the diamond in the rough? And if you haven't already, please make sure to follow me over on twitch.tv/TheNYCGeek, where I do stream once or twice a week. And join our Discord, because that's the best way to stay appraised of all the announcements. It's through the Discord, as well as follow me on that filthy cesspool that is Twitter. Oh boy, man, I can't wait till they clean it up. Remember always, your time is precious. I always tell you guys that. And I want you guys to always remember that. Thank you for sharing it with me. Please, please, please stay safe. Take care of each other. And I'll see you guys next time.